my gosh, I have been waiting for this day for so long. I'm so thrilled to introduce to this audience my wonderful, beautiful friend, Alexandra, Alix Edmiston. Alix is a communications expert. She works in PR, corporate communications. She is also a Toronto-based storyteller whose debut book, or her book from 1996, was Confessions from the Cubicle, which received rave reviews from CTV in Montreal and Toronto. Also TVO and CBC Radio. It delved into the unique challenges young women are facing and how they're adapting to the corporate world. This is really passionate to you, Alix, because you're a huge advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. You're a huge advocate for women in leadership, in the workforce. And so now you have created this whole different side of who you are and have presented us with this masterpiece called The Immortal's Secret. Yeah. So I'm thrilled to introduce you to the audience today and jump in and talk about what has inspired this beautiful creation and how did you come up with this mystical novel in regards to The Immortal Secret?
Yes, this book is very surprising. Most people don't know me as a fiction writer, but this has always been a dream of mine to write a book. And I love art and I love Paris. And I always joke around that one of my most favorite places, like my happy place, is the Louvre. And going into the Louvre is an incredible place where I feel, when you talk about what is immortal in life, I feel like art might be one of the only things in our world that is immortal. And so when I go into the Louvre, and I just want to talk specifically about one of my favorite paintings there, is called A Man with a Glove. It's by Titian, and it was painted in 1520. Wow. And when you look at this young man in all his glory, nobody knows who he is. They think they might know he is. He might be part of the Gonzaga family of Florence, but they have no idea, right? They have no idea who this young man is. And I love that in that of so many of the portraits in the Louvre, you don't know their story. And as a storyteller, I really want to know their story, right? And I've created a book where I have the portrait, which is the immortal, and she does come with a backstory, and it's through something that's very supernatural. It's a golden book. So I came up with that because I wanted to, if you're going to spend a lot of time writing a book, you have to do it about something that you absolutely love.
Absolutely.
And so I really love art, and I'm very inspired by Gothic fiction. It's just Halloween. I love Halloween. And at Halloween, I love the stories when we see all the scary stories. Those brooding, dark backgrounds with anti-heroes. I just love that time period. So that really inspired me too, because I've read so much of that. And the picture of Dorian Gray always kind of blew me away. That I love the idea of this incredibly handsome man in the portrait. There is another version of him in a closet. And I feel with Dorian Gray that he was looking at the superficiality of his time period, right? And how, with the aristocracy. So that was really his background behind that book, and it really inspired me. And I feel like in our world, in our time, that we are really focused on staying young in our sort of version of immortality, right? It's incredible because you and I could potentially, it's a scary thing to think about, I feel, but we could potentially live to be 100, right? I mean, one of my aunts just celebrated her 99th birthday.
Amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
And that's kind of what inspired me. But I have to tell you something funny that inspired me too, that I always love to say, is Keith Richards always says about dying, you don't want to die, but you don't like the alternative either. So Keith kind of inspired me too.
Amazing. And so many, you took such creativity to create this, I'll call it a masterpiece because I couldn't stop reading it.
Thank you.
And audience, I got an early preview, I will say. And honestly, 2-3 years ago, Alix sent me a couple of chapters and said, hey, would you just read it? What do you think? And I was blown away. And I really encouraged her to continue this and to bring it fully to life. And oh my gosh, she has completely outdone the expectations I had. So even with that, like it's such a phenomenal read, there's always challenges that come up. So what were some of those challenges that you faced as you were writing?
Well, I think the biggest thing, you need to carve out time. I work for a living, and so, I had to carve out time. So I have to confess to everyone, I haven't gotten a lot of sleep. My time to write is midnight to 2 a.m., which sounds crazy, but I am a night owl. I am one of those creative night owls. So I had to carve out the time. And, when you're up alone at night, it's very quiet, and you're all by yourself, and you're just with your MacBook Air. And there were times, I really was gripped by imposter syndrome. So it just, throughout the process, throughout the 10 years, it was always gripping me.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring it up is that I feel like imposter syndrome is just kind of all these voices in our head. They seem to be amplified from people that have said things to you throughout your whole life, right? And somehow they're all coming together in some kind of conference in your head to tell you that you can't do this. And I think you just have to silence it. Yeah. And I know that we talk a lot about imposter syndrome. In fact, I heard Gordon Lightfoot say he had imposter syndrome, which blew my mind because
who would have thought,
so
right?
exquisitely talented man. So I think we all suffer from it, but that was really a huge challenge for me. Thinking, who do you think you are? Yeah. What are you doing this? And again, it's coming from a bad place. But the next day I would just get, I think the next night you gotta go back to your computer and just keep on going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what's so interesting is you've always been the person behind the person.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, I'm sure that played a bit into your imposter syndrome, right? Because all of a sudden now you are the person who is creating this and who will be in the public eye. And so how are you thinking, or how are you feeling about navigating, coming into the limelight?
Well, I think that, the sort of stereotype around writers is they write they write in quiet. They don't get out much. Maybe, maybe they're writing in their pajamas. You know what I mean? This is sort of the stereotype of the writer. So you don't often think, oh, let me go out and promote myself. Yeah. And, add to that with me is I'm always over 30 years promoting somebody else.
Exactly.
And so now I'm switching gears and I'm going in the spotlight. And so you're thinking, oh my God, now these people that are telling me, including you, Vicki, like I'm coaching you. It's like, oh, now you know what it's like, Alex. Now you can like get on the other side. So it's sort of like flipping my world upside down. And but I'm very excited about it. It really does feel so badly. Before I had the imposter syndrome and that kind of hurt, but now that being out of your comfort zone really hurts too. But as I move through the process, and I am so passionate about my book and about my writing and getting out there. So that is sort of driving me. And I have to have, again, you just have to kind of get your, I have to do a lot of talking to myself. This is good, get out there.
Of course.
And because you can be gripped with fear, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just me, I'm going through the process. And, I keep on saying to myself, like, I did this, I wanted to do this, I finished the book, which I think, to me, like just finishing the book and being able to hold it up, I mean, it just fills my heart with joy. And when I first picked up this book, it just filled my heart with joy. I was with my husband, and we did it, like we opened the package together. And that fills my heart with joy. But now I have to go and promote it. And you know what? I'm looking forward to it. And I'm so looking forward to, so many people have been on this journey with me, including you, Vicki, and thank you so much. But I'm looking forward to like seeing where it goes and bringing other people on the journey too. Yeah,
nice. I love it, and I love the resilience that you show with sticking to it, because that's a labor of love, right?
Yes.
And you can, when you read the book, you feel every ounce of passion and determination and dedication that you put into it. Because even the detail that you've provided for each of those characters really brings to life who they are, and that takes a real commitment, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about what you want the audience to experience or the readers to experience as they dive into the Immortal Secret, what What are you hoping they're gonna feel from this?
Well, there's a couple of things. One of the things that I love about the book is it is a love story, but it's not a traditional love story in terms of romantic love story. It's a love story between a grandson and his grandfather. And, you know, my main character, who's a curator at the Louvre, you know, his grandfather has mysteriously disappeared. And this happened, you know, my main character, Benjamin, it happened while he was in the ICU, he's doing cancer treatment, and then he finally gets out of hospital and finds out his grandfather has disappeared. So there is this journey that Benjamin's taking, and it is a journey of love. And it's a journey of, you know, redemption in a way, because Benjamin has not felt like, you know, he has a lot of privilege, and he's not really felt like he's lived a life. He's not proud of the life that he's lived. So this is one thing that he can do for his grandfather, try and figure out what happened. So I hope that people really relate to that love story. There's a few other love stories. That's not the only love story in the book. But I do, you know, this is one I hope that people are really drawn to in this theme of love. And I hope that readers really love the history in it. And, you know, my favorite places are the ones that I've captured in the book, like Venice, Paris, Toronto, but also the Sinai Desert. And so, and I've been to all these places, but I have not been to the Sinai. And so I love reading books where I really love the settings, right? Yeah. So I hope that readers are surprised and captivated by that. And, you know, there is a side of this book that's about your belief and your faith. So I love bringing that into it too. I love the spiritual side of it. You know, you have the supernatural side, the mystical side, but you also have the spiritual side to it as well, right? And I loved having that as well. Yeah. So I hope that people are surprised by that and like that, and maybe see themselves in Benjamin a little bit, and some of the other characters.
Yeah, there's a lot of deep meaning. Even though it's a fiction book, there is a lot of a deep meaning that you can take from this. Because I know for myself, when I was reading it, I was thinking about one theme, which was people aren't always who they seem.
Yes, yes.
Right? And so, you know, maybe talk about that a little bit, because, you know, some of the detail of the characters that you've created, it makes you look at your own life and do I really know that person?
Yeah. Well, Benjamin is going on what they call a hero's journey, right? So he's transforming throughout the book. And I love those kinds of, I love that type of fiction, right? Where somebody transforms and they're quite different at the end. When you talk about people not being who they say they are, I mean, we all experience that in life, right? It's like, this person's kind of a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, like I talked about with the Gothic fiction. But I did that on purpose, in that I love moving the plot ahead, you know, with the story arc where, you know, he's meeting people and they could turn him in a different direction. Sure. And Benjamin meets a real cast of characters, and a number of them, he's really not sure what to make of them, right? And they're telling him fantastical kind of things, and so he's not sure, should I believe you? Should I trust you? Because he's not very trusting to begin with, right? And so, but he wants to find his grandfather, and so he's got all these people that look like they're trying to help him, right?
Sure.
And so, but yeah, again, I just hope that it sort of gets people thinking too, in that you turn the page because you want, is this person the real deal or what?
Absolutely.
And you know what the heck, right? Like who is this, and how are they going, how's this going to play out in Benjamin's journey?
Yeah. So I love, and I think this is an important takeaway for our readers and the audience. You know, Alix, as I said earlier, she has spent her entire career basically working in the business world, a PR corporate communications expert, has been phenomenal at promoting others. And the writing that you've done here it brings out such creativity and such a different side of just how like broad your writing skills are. Like I was blown away how you even came up with the story to begin with, but the level of detail that you created, I really felt like I was immersed in Venice and Istanbul, and so it was quite unique from what I'm used to reading from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, you know, it's interesting because, you know, when you talk about like, can I trust this person, or is this person really who they think they are? Like, a lot of people don't know me as somebody who does creative writing, because I do business writing. But my whole life, since I was a child, I have like I feel like my imagination is really alive all the time. I am somebody who has a really vibrant imagination. And so I've always been somebody who is telling stories. Like, my husband always jokes around, that our basement is full of things that I've written, right? And he always jokes around, with Stephen King when he wrote his book. I think it was Carrie, and then all of a sudden they said, "Did you write anything else?" And he says, "I got a whole basement full." Because I have a whole basement full too. And this is really who I am. And I always see myself as such a creative soul, right? Yeah. And I always have my books, and I'm always writing things down. I'm always like, "Oh, that's a good idea." Yeah. And so I write it down. And I always find with writing, it's my husband, if I get like a little bit stressed out, he'll go, "You should go write something. You should go write something."
So it's an outlet for you.
So it is
Nice.
very much an outlet for me. It's sort of like my fuel, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I just have to create these characters and create these people. And my first book was nonfiction, and I did really, truly, I entered the workforce, and I'm like, what the heck I was a reporter, and I just didn't get this environment at all. And I thought, well, maybe I'm going to write a book about it. And but the creative side, I'm a film buff. We're both film buffs, huge fans of TIFF. But the fiction side of it is just it's just, to me, what defines me. But most people don't know. Yeah. A lot of people don't know, and not people who love me like you, but people in business don't know that side of me, and I don't disclose it at all.
Of course. And something you highlighted when we were talking earlier, which I thought was so beautiful, is she goes by Alexandra in her fiction writing, and in her business writing it's Alix. Yes. And all your friends know you as Alix. Yeah. And so I would say make sure you check out the Immortal Secrets. So what's next, Alix? Like, this is massive. So, is there a book tour, movie? Because I already have characters in my head thinking about who's going to play Benjamin and Josiah and Clee. I'm like, oh my God, I have goosebumps.
Who's going to play the Immortal? I know. Well, I'm just, as I sort of embark, I'm launching on Halloween, because I mentioned it's one of my favorite holidays. And I really feel this is a story that I want to share on Halloween. Nice. And so my launch is October the 31st. And you can pre-order on Amazon or Indigo. You can pre-order right now, both the paperback and the ebook. And I'm just really, really looking forward. Again, I mentioned it's totally out of my comfort zone, but I'm looking forward to my launching everything, and just bringing others on the journey, and just sharing my story with the world. And I guess really this secret side of me too with the world. Like, all of a sudden I'm like, here's Alix, the author, and putting Alexandra on the front of my, using my name, my legal name, it makes me think of my father too, because my father was Alexander. So when I see this, Beautiful. This is almost his name on the front too, and he always believed, he read a lot of my stuff, and in the early days wasn't very good. But just moving forward and what the future holds, I'm just a big believer. Put your baby out into the universe. Let's see what happens. And how beautiful just to say, let's see what happens, right? I love that. There's no, I just want to see what magical thing happens through this. I want to be dazzled. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's see who the people that I meet, and it's just exciting for me. I always say it's exhilarating and terrifying, but I like to be exhilarated and terrified.
Of course. Life would be boring if it wasn't.
Yes, exactly.
So congratulations again on your book. I love the cover.
Thank you.
She's captivating. She's luxurious. She's mystical. All of these wonderful things. And I'm excited to see how the world responds to the Immortal Secret, and I'm so proud of you. I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you too.
Just enjoy every moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
sweetie. Thank you.